Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's episode will be a bit different because the setting for the video is different. I went to the forest and I forgot my tripod, so I'm holding the camera in my hand, which is not very pleasant, but but I think that you will enjoy this rather uncommon format for the video. And I know the track from the top of my head, so I think that I can basically comment what's going on in the track even from here. In this particular episode I will focus on mixing the track, and I would like to briefly summarize the previous episodes. So in the first episode we went through a basic setup in Reaper, then we created a basic loop, added some vocals and additional sounds. Then we focused on song structure, and we used that basic loop for basically creation of the whole house track. And then we added transitions to the track. So what you are now seeing in Reaper is the result of that creative process. We will look at how I mix the track. So okay, first I would like to discuss channel routing. As you might see, there are two send channels, and these send channels basically receive signal from all tracks in Reaper. I do it this way because it gives me a bit more control over how much signal I'm routing to these channels from all tracks. So I will start by reverb. And if I click on that routing button in that reverb, you might see that bass line and kick do not send too much signal to the reverb. The reason is that I didn't want to clutter these two channels by like the reverb reflections. I wanted these two channels to be as tight and detailed as possible, and reverb would blur everything. When you look at other tracks, you will see that they are sending a bit more signal to the reverb, and the purpose of the reverb is to glue everything in the track together, and this gives me a better control than having reverb on the master. The second send channel is saturation channel, and its purpose is to bring some harmonic saturation to the track. And also I would like to have a control over how much signal I'm sending to this saturation channel. So this is the basic routing, and now I would like to focus on the most important thing in the EDM track, and it's the kick and the bass, and basically the low energy that the track carries. I think that everything evolves around having a clear bass and clear kick drum. So you basically need to make enough space in the track for kick and the bass. That's why everyone in the EDM cuts bass frequencies in all channels except for bass and kick, because you really want to have a lot of space in the mix for these two elements of the track. It's like a basic concept. Then if you look at the way the kick and the bass accompany one another, I think that they work together relatively nicely. And the reason being that when I started producing the track, I started without any effects, so the bass and the kick had to coexist with each other without any additional effects, any compression, anything. So this makes things a lot of easier at this mixing stage. But now, if you look at the screen, I will show you how I use the ProQ equalizer from FabFilter. It has a nice functionality that you can basically view more tracks at the same time, and the equalizer will show you how the frequencies overlap, and it allows you to basically carve out the space for the kick in the bass basically, but you can do whatever you want with that. But this way you basically make sure that the frequencies of these two elements do not fight too much in the mix. So this is how it's done. I hope that you are seeing it on the screen, because I don't see it here in the forest. So this is, let's say, the second element. Then what's quite common these days is to use a plugin which is called TRACKSPACER for sidechain compression, but only in the extent of certain frequencies. It's usually used in the bass frequencies, and I use it as well. I'm basically sidechaining the bass, so I'm routing the kick signal to the bass signal, but only up to certain frequency. And the plugin I'm using is not the TRACKSPACER, but it's SHAPERBOX, but it does the same thing, and it maybe, I hope it will sound the same. I do not have experience with TRACKSPACER, but I think that the SHAPERBOX basically does the same thing. It can also be done in Reaper using stock plugins, but this way is a bit more convenient. And I'm using this SHAPERBOX sidechain up to certain frequency compression. Also for other channels. I think that I have it in the pet channel and also in other channels. I don't know from the top of my head right now, but I will specify it maybe in the video. So that's it for the let's say sidechain. Then I would like to focus on equalizing individual tracks and what to do with the equalization on the master. When it comes to, let's say, a decision what to equalize on the master and what to equalize on the individual track level, I think that what works the best is to try to use the EQ as much as possible on individual tracks and not on the master. Because if you apply it on the master, it will basically affect the frequencies in the whole mix, and then the overall picture gets a bit blurred. Because when you raise something too much on the master, then it mixes up all the frequencies in the mix. So you should be as much as possible mixing everything on the individual track level. And in this particular case, I didn't adhere to this principle on 100%. I think that I kept it in case of the bass frequencies relatively well, but then I got a bit lazy and I didn't want to focus on individual tracks when it comes to like high mids and highs, and that's how I equalized it on the master. But I had an impression that it works in the track, so I didn't make too much equalization of let's say higher mids and highs on the track level, but you should definitely do that. It was partly my laziness and partly that it sounded relatively well. I think that if you do not equalize too much on the master, I think that then you have a lot of space for EQing on the individual track level, and you can even go plus minus, I don't know, 3 to 5 decibels, no problem, because the track then takes it really well if you are not affecting all frequencies by like 5 dB plus minus adjustment. So you should not be afraid of equalizing individual instruments this much if you are on the track level and not on the master level. So when I look at the individual instruments, you might see that I'm equalizing a lot and that it works and it doesn't destroy the whole mix and it sounds good and natural. Then when I look at the EQing on the master level, as I pointed out previously in the video, I didn't stick to this rule not to have too much EQ on the master when it comes to high frequencies. So you will see how much of an EQ there is on the master level, but it didn't ruin the mix. It maintained its clarity and it worked relatively well, so I kept it this way. But otherwise, if I had more time and patience, I would like to definitely EQ it on the track level, but in this particular case I just didn't do that. So yeah, but it still works somehow. Then you are taking certain frequencies out every time, and we are talking about really low frequencies, let's say up to 20 Hz, 25 Hz. You will see how it sounds when you take them out, and then you are cutting out high frequencies, something above 20 kHz. But I think that I've seen commercial tracks going as low as maybe 16K, but I'm cutting it out from 19K and below, and I think it sounds reasonably good. So this is when it comes to equalization. Okay, so another very important thing is to listen to your mix in mono. I think that when you start mixing, switch to mono and try to make a first rough mix in mono, because when the track sounds well in mono, there is a high chance that it will sound much better in stereo. So I did this as well. If I switch to mono, I will show you how it sounds in stereo. I think that it's important to hear the main elements like kick, bass and the vocals, and I think that in this particular track it works reasonably well. I didn't have need to mix everything in mono down to like each element and each of the instruments, because it worked relatively well. Maybe a short additional information regarding the vocal. You might see that there is one vocal channel that is called a vocal common, something like that, and it aggregates all vocal samples into one channel, and I'm basically manipulating the vocal channel only by let's say, doing stuff on this one particular track, which is called like vocal command track, something like that. Yeah, and I'm not sending anything from the vocal to the send reverb. Reason being that I wanted the vocal to stand out and be a bit separated from the overall mix. So I think that I achieved this, and I would call it an artistic decision. I really wanted it this way because the vocal is pretty nice and it's the, let's say, main part of the track. So I wanted the vocal to stand out. Okay, so this should be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the video and that you didn't mind that I was a bit unprepared in the forest. So thank you very much again to those who subscribe to the channel, and if you are new to the channel, please also consider subscribing and liking the video. So stay tuned and see you next time.